Arcadia Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. Galaxy Star beats Gadding and Material Man.
Welcome to Racing Rewind, proudly presented by Sessions, who stands the 22-23 season at Oakland Park Stud. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571. That's 0427 789 571.
Time now for Racing Rewind. It is 8 past 8 o'clock, 12.5 degrees here in Perth, and Lochie and Michael are in the studio. Very good morning, lads.
Good morning, Marty and Michael and listeners.
Good morning, boys.
Black Heart Bart Stakes Day out there. First off, from the stewards room, the Stipes were busy.
Really big stewards report in the sense that our state's best jockey in Chris Parnham has received a 22-day suspension, and that will start after the Hannon's handicap. He received that suspension for careless riding when he won race number 2, in which Lactar, Amoli and Demolish, obviously there was a fall in that race, and that was pretty much deemed that Chris was partly at fault for that, and therefore he received that suspension for careless riding.
Taj Dyson also received 14 days, 14-day suspension, and I think that may be his second or third suspension in the space of a month for Taj. I'd probably a touch stiff there yesterday with that one.
Didn't look like much, did it? But maybe his record came into effect.
But there were several.
The record shouldn't come into effect being guilty or not guilty.
True.
That's the act.
Yeah.
That then comes into effect for the
penalty.
For the penalty.
But there's no doubt he's felt the wrath of the stewards several times this year, Taj, so he's having a bit of a bad run with the Stipes, but there's been a couple of other inquiries throughout the day, so we'll touch on those through each race. But main points being Chris Parnham now misses the Kalgoorlie Cup, one, of course, the Boulder Cup on Stafford's Lad, and he'll miss 3 weeks' worth of feature races, I guess.
So he'll miss opening day, which will have the 3-year-old 1,000. I don't really think Chris was aligned to anything in the 3-year-old 1,000, and obviously we'll touch upon All Show and Swear to God in moments to come. But then the week after that is the Eurythmic, from what I understand, so he'll miss that. You'd suspect that he would have had the choice of a few horses like Captain Chaos, Windstorm, maybe even a few more in a race like that, and then... So it's a very costly suspension at a bad time of the year.
How'd the track play there yesterday, Michael?
Thought it was heavily on speed. 5 of the 9 winners either led or breezed. There was only one race where the leader or breeze horse didn't finish in the money. And they're 9 races, so 18 leaders or outside lead horses, and they filled 11 of the 27 placings. So thought you certainly wanted to be on speed. There was only probably one race where a winner came from a fair way back, and that was probably the most surprising result of the day for me with Fly Away Home, but they went solid enough in that race, so I certainly thought you wanted to be close to the pace.
Al Safina still made up good ground, obviously. Dead heat.
She was huge. And, that was an enormous effort, and they actually went quite steady in that race, so I thought that was probably the performance of the day, Dead heat.
And all the Kingsmen, he was back midfield-ish, so they made some ground, but obviously that's been the theme of the Belmont Park meeting. It's definitely been more advantageous than not to be in the first half of the field.
Last Belmont meeting of the season, though, so Kalgoorlie
Monday?
We have tomorrow's 2J at Belmont meeting, last city meeting at Belmont for the season, and then Geraldton Wednesday, Kalgoorlie Thursday, and Ascot opening day. Kalgoorlie Cup next day. Saturday, and opening day the week after.
It's a different look, isn't it? Different field this week coming up, and good to have Geraldton back on board again. Dave Renstead, all the team up there, and of course KBRC launched Thursday, Hannon's Handicap Day, and of course the Cup. And then we get back to glorious Ascot. Can't wait. Right, West Speed Platinum Handicap, race number 1 on the card. It was over the 1,200 metres.
On the outside of Aberdeen Queen, they're about to sprint up here at the top of the home straight, defending, pulling to the outside. She's puzzling, brings up the rear of the field. They balance up by the 350. Ain't No Other Man quickly put paid to Famous Journey and kicks a length and a half clear. Starting its run is defending over on the outside at the 200. Ain't No Other Man's the leader and shifted right back to the railers. Defending starts to cut the margin. Defending out after Ain't No Other Man. Ain't No Other Man fighting. Defending keeps coming though. Defending on the outside. Defending, I thought, might have just nailed the fave. Right on the post here. Defending has come from the back to beat Ain't No Other Man.
Yeah, tricky little finish. Matt got it right defending. This run of Dan and Ben Pearce continues. Chris Parnham beats Ain't No Other Man in a tighty. Requisition third, Aberdeen Queen fourth.
Good win from Defending, a horse that has seemingly just really come of age this preparation. He's learnt what racing's all about, and the penny has certainly dropped with him. I think most people suspected that he might even hold the back of Ain't No Other Man, but Defending was just a pair further back and was following Requisition into the run. Pulled out to the middle of the track, and from there, I always felt like Chris Parnham was going to get there, but in the end, it was a little bit tighter than I thought it would be. Just nabbing Ain't No Other Man on the post, who was brave in second, but sat outside what looked like a very slow tempo and had every possible chance.
Yeah, really good win Defending. He's now won 3 of his last 4 starts. He's run the fastest last 6, 4 and 200 metre splits at his last 5. He's racing really, really well. Effective 1,200 metres, probably as far as... well, he's only won up to 13, but you'd think he'd get 1,400 with his racing style. What do we do with Ain't No Other Man? With that's now second placings at 4 of his last 5 starts, and probably had every chance there yesterday in a West Speed Platinum Handicap.
I agree. I think this is about his grade, and he's going to pick one up sooner rather than later. We head to Ascot now. These West Speed races, when you can claim 2 off their back with Keshaw aboard, I think this is about the right grade for him. And to be honest, from his 2 and 3 year old years, I thought he might elevate to that next genuine Saturday grade. You know, graduation 66 plus, maybe even a 72 plus winner, but he hasn't quite made that step up. So for now, I'd still be happy to back him in a West Speed Platinum Handicap. Just maybe not at $1.90.
I was about to say, probably not at odds on. Requisition was an even run. Aberdeen Queen got going late. Famous Journey knocked up, and She's Puzzling, backing up off the 5 days from the trial win on the Monday, was probably not really suited at the back there, but still a touch plain. I think it was all about Defending here. Hit the line really strongly and continues a good run for the Pierce camp.
Lochie, I want to ask you about the winner by Oratorio out of a Danehill Express. Man, that's that lovely line that the Williamsons have gone to quite a bit down there. Is he a bigger type of an Oratorio? Or
For an Oratorio, I'd say yes, but he's still not a big horse.
Not a big horse,
yeah.
But a bigger style for
Oratorio. Oratorios can really throw some real smaller, dainty runners.
Yep.
He would be a little bit bigger than that.
He's probably nuggety, but he's a smaller sort of type of horse.
Yeah,
but he's
still not. He's still not big, that's for sure.
Okay, so he's won 3 of his last 4. What's his future look like?
Oh, I think he's just been really well placed, like a lot of Dan and Ben's horses at the moment. And if you continue to place your horse in the worst possible company, you just never know how much confidence can do. And a horse like Let's Gallivant is the perfect case in point.
Won a 52 plus at York.
No one expected him to win a 72 plus last start, but you just keep going through their grades and you never know. But yeah, I think Defending this is around about his grade.
So do you feel well placed in here?
Not really. Not really. What do they say? Put your horses in the
worst company, put yourself in the best.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Free entry to Belmont Park. Have you done on the first?
No, I was just going to say Defending's always shown a level of ability. He was a good run on debut, and going back to his second preparation, he ran a head second to the front bar, which is on a Saturday. So he's always shown that ability. It just took a little while just to reach maturity.
Race number 2, the free entry to Belmont Park, played over the 1,400 metres.
See a fair second from last is Fly Away Home under heavy pressure. Vast start. They approach the turn. Man Crush straightens up in front of Lord Gannicus, and now letting down on the outside. Legacy of Tara. St. Oreo being worked on down near the fence. Costa's Crown looking to work clear. Galaxy Affair searching for a run as well. They went to the 200 now, and on the outside it's Legacy of Tara that reaches the lead. Oh, one lost. It's right to demolish. Back in the field. Fly Away Home is starting to sprout wings. Fly Away Home charging down the outside. Fly Away Home got them. Fly Away Home beat Man Crush, who kicked again from St. Oreo. Galaxy Affair, Costa's Crown. Lord
it was Fly Away Home by Bellado. Daniel Morton trained. This is the horse that Chris Parnham has got the time on, obviously. So expand on the race, lads.
Well, the win itself was super. I don't think many people expected that. $17, obviously. And I think the key to yesterday's win, and perhaps the elevation that Fly Away Home made yesterday, was the fact that he was ridden much colder, and I think he really appreciated that, because I didn't know he possessed a turn of foot of that nature, but ridden cold, following Demolish into the race, I thought that was a really, really good win. And we was just discussing off air, maybe it was 16 back to 14, but ridden in that manner, you wouldn't think a mile would worry that horse at all, with the dominance in which he just lengthened in the final 200 metres. So really nice horse, and I'm not sure what Dan has planned for him now. Perhaps a little freshen up and then targeting some carnival features, because that was a fairly smart field that he beat yesterday.
Yeah, it was a really smart field. This was easily the most surprising result of the day, in my opinion. He was a beaten odds-on favourite in a Class 1 at Northam last start, but as you say, ridden quieter there at the start before. He was ridden with a sit, and he defeated a subsequent winner in George Gently, albeit in a maiden, but clearly just a better horse with cover, and he actually travelled really strongly the entire race, so he let down with that really good turn of foot from... to defeat Man Crush, who I thought was a good effort, 1,000 metres up to 1,400 metres second up. Led and gave a nice show in front. Saintorio kept coming in third. Costa's Crown was an interesting run, probably squeezed up a little bit on straightening, and I thought was only fair the late stages, but Galaxy Affair I thought was probably a better run. Hit the just finished just behind him, was following Costa's Crown, was held up on straightening, couldn't really get any momentum, and then got going late. Galaxy Affair was only a Class 1 winner last start and was actually nominated for Kalgoorlie this coming week, but elected to go yesterday. I think he's a horse you can follow in midweek type of company, dropping in grade. Outside of that, Legacy of Tara was really well supported, settled one out and one back, but was disappointing run off what we've seen the first two. It
was interesting. At the 300, I thought she was the winner, and then she really compounded noticeably. In the end, has finished last, beaten 6.5 lengths. I note that in the steward's comments, it reads that a post-race vet exam revealed an elevated heart rate and that she was slow to recover. And that didn't,
something amiss.
And that didn't surprise me at all, because the way in which she loomed into the race, she was at least going to finish in the top 2 and then has subsequently finished last. So perhaps an issue there with Legacy of Tara.
Okay, let's keep moving on with these replays, and now we go to race number 3, and this is the Ascot opening day, 8th of October plate. It was over the 1,000 metres.
3/4 Mystic Jane, trapped wide though, no favours at all for Just Go. Behind them then Swear to God follows All Show, who look to be going pretty well. Right behind them Costume Party, Symphony and Red to the outside, El Patron at the 250, and he hasn't let All Show go. She's still hard up on the bridle. Swear to God trying to find a bit of a run, but All Show's kicked away. Let's Down now extends. Oh, she's going to destroy them. All Show, she's racing away, and one untouched. All Show 2 lengths. Swear to God second. Mystic Jane might be third in a blanket with El Patron, Costume Party.
Yeah, there it is. The I'm All the Talk 3-year-old filly All Show getting the money there for Trevor Andrews. First leg of a double for Tricky.
The most exciting win of the day. That was just arrogant from All Show. Sean O'Donnell, he was hell-bent on finding cover, and in the end, All Show just pulled forward and found the front, and I think in the end that was the right thing to do, because she just travelled into the race so well. He had hardly asked her for an effort up until the 200 metre mark, and she was just cruising through her gears, and the rest of the field were off the bridle chasing. In the end, wins by over 2 lengths to Swear to God, who is a horse that a lot of people have a big opinion of, and I just love this win of All Show. I suspect she heads to the 3-year-old 1,000 on opening day, and provided that Amelia's Jewel doesn't head in that direction, and my gut feel is that she may not. I feel like, reading between the lines, Amelia's Jewel might be like a Belgravia horse first up. I think All Show's your favourite in that 3-year-old 1,000 in a couple of weeks' time.
Super win. I think the clock backs it up to a certain degree as well. Was probably about 8.5 lengths faster than Go Forward's win, and led. Appeared to have plenty more to give and ran the fastest closing sectionals leading. You don't often see that. So he did it at both ends. Really good win. Just looked arrogant, as you mentioned there. And Swear to God's a really nice horse as well. He probably held up a touch on straightening, but I still thought that was a really nice return. Swear to God. Both of the Russell Stewart horses yesterday, I think, will improve off the runs. Street Parade will touch on at the next run. Just loomed and probably peaked. I think they're both in for good campaigns. Mystic Jane held third in the All Show race yesterday. Got headed on straightening. Looked like finishing 4th or 5th, but managed to claw her way back. She's only a maiden, so you'd imagine she'd be really hard to beat, dropping back into a maiden race, having run third to All Show now on a Saturday. Just Go had a tough run, 3 wide, no cover. But the rest of the field was just never really in contention. You had some nice horses like Costume Party. El Patron has some level of ability, but they were beaten 6 lengths and off the bridle and just never in contention.
Absolutely. I think that's what All Show And I think it's going to be an interesting point moving forward, because I think Trevor Andrews noted post-race that, in his opinion, she'll be a better horse chasing. But yesterday afternoon, her strength was that she took horses off the bridle and she beat them with pure speed. So it's going to be interesting moving forward in how they ride her. And I'm almost half concerned that they could potentially negate her strength yesterday, which was her ability to have sustained speed over a long period of time, and that's what won her the race. It broke the field apart, and that's why she was so dominant. But she showed on debut that she can go back and fly home as well. But it's going to be interesting, and I suspect it's just going to be left up to Sean O'Donnell and to weigh things up once the barrier's open.
That race debut effort back in April was just enormous. Was off the track the entire, came from near last and just flooded home to run second to Snowdome. So she's obviously very talented. She can lead, she can go back. She's got that tactical versatility, which should hold her in good stead.
I think Friday Russell Stewart was on the Hour of Power. Listening to Russell, you got the feeling that if the horse was beaten on Saturday, he wouldn't have been that surprised.
No, I think...
From a fitness perspective?
I thought more distance.
Distance, yeah. He was of the opinion... I listened to the same interview. I thought it was really good. And he was of the opinion that Swear to God isn't really your 1,000-metre type. Mm-hmm. And we say all the time, 1,000-metre horses win 1,000-metre races. Whereas Street Parade was the one he was more confident with, because he's of the opinion that he's a really genuine 5-furlong horse.
Yep. I think they're both in for good campaigns, those two horses.
On to race number 4, the Privé Fashion Platform Handicap over the 1,000 metres. Just before I do, get the Sunday Saviours in, or any text for the lads here on 0427 789 571. Michael Heaton, Lochie Taylor with you. This is Racing Rewind. We're up to race number 4.
Those is El Capone as they come to the home turn. MTA in a tightly bunched up field, nowhere to go whatsoever, and Go Forward last of all. Well, this has been an unusually run affair at the 350. Street Parade on the outside of critical altitude, now races to the lead. Goes to Walk, got caught up behind the stablemate, now gets the run. Mega Award, El Capone, Queenship. They're followed further back by No Dice coming from the back of the field with 100 to go. Street Parade's in front. Now here comes Go Forward on the outside, Goes to Walks, went through on the rails, don't know, might be Go Forward just over Goes to Walks, and right behind the Mega Award and Street Parade, No Dice deep out. They were followed by...
Yeah, tight finish. Tough one to call. It was a messy race. Go Forward, Nabs, Goes to Walks, Street Parade back in third, Mega Reward fourth. So 1.1 links between the first 4.
What a win this was. You have to go back and watch the replay. Go Forward got shuffled back to last at the 400-metre mark, and Brad Parnham just weaved his way through. He saw Street Parade up a couple lengths ahead of him, and he followed him through, then came around heels, and I thought this was an outstanding ride from Brad Parnham, and he's just riding in super form at the moment. And Go Forward, he's a horse that has always touted this type of ability, but because of wet tracks and bad barriers, things have been against him. But back on a firmer track yesterday afternoon, it was officially rated a soft 5. Perhaps played a touch firmer than that. I thought that was a really good win, and I understand he's now off to the paddock for a well-deserved break. But when he does come back for the Ascot season near Christmas, I think he's a horse you can definitely be following.
Yeah, I think Ascot will really suit this horse down to the ground. He's probably one for the SP punters in review. He started $3 favourite in a 72 plus last start, was 3 wide no cover, ran 4th. Started $9 in a graduation yesterday. So
yeah, we missed a trick there.
Missed a trick there yesterday for sure. But he didn't have much luck to start before. But as you mentioned, the bad barriers, wet tracks, he just does not go a yard on the wet. So it was a really good effort there yesterday behind a really muddlingly run race and slowed tempo back to last. Had to weave his way through. It was a really good effort. Goes to Walks, settled in the box seat. Was ridden with a bit more aggression than we usually see Goes to Walks. But he always performs well after 7 days. Just missed narrowly. Street Parade we've touched on in the previous race. It was a messy type of race. He was in the outside leader, sort of third breeze position, hit the front probably a touch too soon on straightening, and I think peaked at the 100-metre mark and was gunned down late by 2 horses that are going particularly well. So I thought it was a decent return, and he looks like he'll improve off of that. Mega Reward, didn't get much luck, but they only went steady, stuck on well, and I thought there were a couple of unlucky horses behind them. So I think it's a difficult race to review, and sense that ATM was unlucky, held up badly, had to switch back to the outside, got going late. Al Capone didn't see much daylight. No Dice was back and last. It was an ugly sort of affair. Probably the only real comment was that critical altitude I thought was disappointing, considering getting a pretty soft in front.
Agree. I think the talking point out of the race, as you touched upon, was Street Parade, and I'm in the same corner as you in the sense that at the 200 metre mark, I thought it was his race to lose. He looked like he had a length margin on the rest of the field, but then noticeably peaked on his run late. So perhaps he's a horse you can follow second up with the benefit of that run. I think it was still a really good effort, but I think he just noticeably peaked on his run late.
Did he get a bit tight in there late? I notice it looks just on the photo.
Yeah, there were a couple.
Yep.
I think Lakhdar and Keshaw were both reprimanded on the finish line for this race.
And we've got one here from Alex from Hope Gum Valley. Lakhdar struggling. Why?
Yeah, he's probably going on a little bit of a leaner run. I was actually having this discussion with someone yesterday. He was a little bit unlucky because he fell on one of our horses actually after the line at Northam, and I think subsequently he missed about 3 winners in the last couple of weeks. So
just having one of those runs.
Yeah, but it's obviously opportunity based as well. He'll turn.
He's obviously lost his claim now, and he's going at about 2%, I think, so far this season.
I don't think losing his claim will bother him, though.
No, I reckon he'll end up being okay. But there aren't many apprentices that make that transition seamlessly. There's always that little bit of a lull when you go from claiming every week to all of a sudden not claiming. It's probably difficult to be getting those same type of rides.
Got one here wanting Brad Hardy's Sunday Saviour, and get those Sunday Saviours in. Punter 0427 789 571. He has gone Sunshine Coast, race 2 number 5, Sandown race 4 number 4, and race 9 number 1. Race 5 from Belmont Park yesterday was the Perth Racing Membership Handicap over the 2,000 metres.
He's around them now with Crescent City going up 3 wide as they charge to the turn. Accelerate got to Heaps of Moolah. Crescent City now sets out after Accelerate, the one they've targeted. 2 lengths Arnie's Boy, followed by My Fair Valentine. Not much back in the field, making an impression. Crescent City on the outside at the 200, hit the front from Accelerate. My Fair Valentine, Arnie's Boy. The Pontiff's got the Shillelagh out now as Accelerate comes back. Accelerate off the canvas. Crescent City, Accelerate regains the lead, and Accelerate beat Crescent City. Arnie's Boy might have grabbed third and nose. My Fair Valentine, not much in it though from Heaps of Moolah.
Yes, here you have it. Accelerate, Ash Maley. First and third in the race. I think Arthur Daly, Ashley Maley's going all right, training well. Crescent City back in second, starting to become a very expensive commodity.
Extremely expensive commodity if you're silly enough to be backing him. We've spoke about Crescent City at length on multiple occasions, even when he ran second to Bold Success a couple starts ago. I remember saying to Dad and I think our horse just gave you the race essentially, and we agreed with him, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. I think Crescent City found the front, Accelerate, got headed, and then just fought back. Crescent City just is unwilling to find the line at the moment. Racing really, really well, but clearly he just lacks that killer blow in the final 200 metres of his races. And Accelerate, I think he deserved that win. He's been going really well since joining the Ash Maley stable, and yesterday just settling on top of a more controlled tempo. Heaps of Moolah still found the front, and Accelerate settled outside of that galloper, but it was a much more controlled tempo in comparison to last start, and I think that helped him be a touch stronger at the end of his races.
Yeah, absolutely. They went really, really quick in the last start effort. Prior to that, he nearly pinched it from General Grant. So the form lines were there. He still managed to find his way back to the front after Crescent City headed him. And Crescent City, as you say, is not the most genuine horse, but the money continues to come for him
Marty.
every other start. But Arnie's Boy finished off okay back in the metropolitan area, and My Fair Valentine was a cheeky run, threw back the fence and was only beaten 2.5 lengths into fourth. Don't think they went overly quick here. The winner breezed. The second horse was 1 out, 1 back. The leader, Heaps of Moolah, went around any old odds, stuck on well for fifth, and some really well horses really well in the market, and he's Lucky Lad and So Well were right back in the field and didn't give a yelp, didn't make up any ground. So difficult race to make up ground in. Still thought So Well was really playing. I don't think something was right there yesterday, just in himself, the way over the final stages.
Sean McGruddy reported the gelding raced in a flat manner, but a post-race vet exam revealed no abnormalities.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if there's a fallout there, but he's a Lucky Lad. Did make up some late ground in a race, which was difficult to do so.
Halfway stage of proceedings. Don't forget we're racing at Northam today. The first event gets underway at 1:32. They've got 8 big ones there. The final event goes at 5:25. Harness, we're at Calaberan. First there at 1:15. Lovely drive into the wheat belt there. 4:40 is the last. And we are chasing at Cannington. Headquarters, race 1, 3:47. The last of 12 at 7:22.
Listening to Racing Rewind, brought to you by Sessions, standing the 22-23 season at Oakland Park Stud. Breeders of demerit consider Sessions, who is also a son of the highly successful Longo.
Rider just in front of All Day Session. Over on the inside, looking for the way clear. Dancecock is enticing, comes away around heels from Denham Pack, has been parked deep all the way. All the King's men finding some room now and starting to wind up into the races. All Day Session hits the front, enticing joins it, and now here comes All the King's men. All the King's men surges up, hits the lead going past the 100, sprints clear. All the King's men home first up. Brilliant return to racing. What a day it's been for Buck Rogers. Goes home to win. He has pricked All the King's men from enticing.
Great day for Buck Rogers. Geelong, of course, winning the flag, and All the King's men in his colours, beating enticing Dance Cocky and Miss Vasari. Savanic back in 5th, but this horse has always shown plenty of ability.
He has. I thought he was unlucky not to win what was a fastly run WA size produce stakes. He was beaten by Snowdome in the end, but I don't think he was suited at all by the slow tempo on that day. His trial recently suggested he's come back in good order, but I think yesterday's win suggested he's come back in better order. He's improved from his 2-year-old year to his 3-year-old year, which is important. Not many horses can make that leap, but he has, beating the older horses on the minimum with his 3-year-old allowance. I thought that was a dominant win, and from what I understand, I interviewed Trevor on the Races WA Twitter page. He heads to a 1400 next start, and then the Faritha, and then the WA Guineas all going well. And Trevor pre-race was somewhat reserved in the sense that he would go to those races if he was up to that grade. Off the back of yesterday's win, I think he's certainly up to tackling the 3-year-old features, and I think the boys involved are going to have a lot of fun with him.
I think he looks a perfect Faritha horse. Last preparation, he ran 4th in the Perth Stakes, and he stepped up straight to 1400 and bolted in by a length and 3/4. And as you mentioned with the sires, it was run really slowly. He was unlucky finishing second there over 14. Turned out for a break, and that was a super return yesterday. You even dig deeper to a couple of preps ago to the Magic Millions. He drew barrier 14 out of 14, ran 5th behind She's a Belter, beaten 3 lengths. So it's always shown a really good level of ability, and you think 1400 metres in the Faritha would be his sweet spot, which sounds like it would come 3rd up. So I think that'll be a really nice race for him. Enticing, love the way Jason Brown rides his horse. He another nice ride there yesterday. No match for the winner, but it seems to go best for Jace. Dance Cocky stuck on quite well from the box seat position, which has been a little bit of a surprise, bringing the alternate dirt form to the races, and has run some nice races in the metro area now. Miss Vasari was a typical Miss Vasari run, a little bit unlucky, held up on straightening, but won't be getting me Miss Vasari after some of the money I've spent on her over the time. And Savanic was doing her best work through the line.
Yeah, I thought Savanic was a really good run. Enticing, going into yesterday, we thought, he typically goes best on rain-affected tracks, and he's had a long prep, so this might be his last run, but I think he got beat by a really smart 3-year-old, so we were happy post-race to press on towards the Ascot Carnival. He keeps pulling up really well, and he's going better than ever.
All Day Session's an interesting horse for mine. Has had a really unorthodox preparation, has been 1,000 metres to 14, back to 1,000 to 1,200, 13. It's been all over the show. I don't think he's a horse that settles on pace and can fight on. So I'm not too sure where All Day Session's at the moment. I think he's just his form suggests he's a better sit-back sprinter.
He always goes around in the market as well.
Yep.
He's $3.50, 5 starts go $7, $14, a little bit of an outlier, $9, $7.50, $5.50 yesterday. I think until he does it and gets back into the form and shows the ability that everyone seemingly knows he possesses, I think you just need to put him to one side.
And just a minor query with him as well. Now that Belmont's finished, I think most of his wins have been at Belmont as well, and he's a wet tracker. So if his campaign does continue, I'll be probably just trying to steer around All Day Session somewhat back at Ascot. Another horse I just wanted to touch on quickly, Hear Me Sing, was making his return, early season 4-year-old. Drew barrier 12, tactical announcement, they were going to go back. He's usually ridden sort of forward handy, and when the race was over, I thought he made decent late ground over the 1,200 metres. He'll be far better suited up to a mile. He contested those autumn features. I wouldn't be surprised if he drew a barrier next start and went close at each way odds.
Interesting, when the boys had Chris Parnham in the studio a couple of weeks ago, he spoke about the fact that he has felt that this season, over 1,200 metres at Belmont, sometimes you get so far back that it's just simply impossible to make up ground. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to hear from our state's leading rider. And since then, I've taken a lot of notice into what Chris said. And I think that was the perfect example of Hear Me Sing. Has finished 9th, beaten over 6 lengths, but the run wasn't that bad.
It was a good run.
He was just a long way back. So I think that's important moving forward, because we can get some big prices about some horses that have ran better than the paper form suggests.
Okay, let's move it now on to race. Just back on all the King's Men. You can get him as high as around 77, 78 off 70. So it was a good return. 3-year-old against the older horses, not easy this time of the year. So I'm pretty sure we might be talking to Trevor tomorrow on the Sports Daily, and we'll ask him how the horse has pulled up, and if that's the way he's heading. No one knows how to win a WA Guineas better than T.M. Andrews. Let's go to race number 7, the Black Heart Bart Stakes over the 1,200 metres.
To the turn they head. Money Matters will guide them for home. 450 left to go. Money Matters straightens up a length and a half clear. Comes a time. Universal Pleasure, and the sprint goes right on in earnest. Down the outside, it's a Ray Day. Cuts loose. Notorious One running around here under Johnston Porter, and Cup Night coming in the middle. Money Matters at the 175. Comes a time, gets on equal terms. Comes a time, now heads off. Money Matters reaches the lead. Money Matters tries to rally. Comes a time's got them done. Comes a time wins again. Comes a time won the Black Heart Bart. Tight go. Money Matters. Cup Night for second.
There comes a time there. Mickey Grantham on the program earlier on the Aftermath, saying the horse has pulled up beautifully. Beats Cup Night. Money Matters. Notorious One back and forth.
Comes a time, great win. I thought Michael's interview when he spoke about Paul Harvey's ride was spot on. Brad Ruilla found the front aboard Money Matters, really controlled the tempo, and Paul Harvey was just happy to settle outside of him, put no pressure on Money Matters whatsoever until he needed to at the top of the straight. And when he did, there was a rock hard fit. Comes a time that really pulled away late. I thought Cup Night was a super run considering the way the race was run. I'd almost go as far to say Cup Night was the run of the race, but comes a time he settles on speed, he's rock hard fit, and he continues to go strength to strength. So it's going to be hard to know what his ceiling is and what is next for him.
I agree. Cup Night run of the race comes a time under set weights and penalties conditions yesterday. Probably not all that well in. It was a brilliant effort, and for a horse that usually only does what he has to do, he never wins by big margins. He never gets beaten by big margins. He won by a length yesterday. I think that was clearly a career best performance, and Mickey G's got him going super. It'll be interesting to see which way he heads now, and he sat outside of a steady tempo there with Money Matters, who, as you said, controlled the tempo, and but to put them away like that and beat a horse like Cup Night by a length, I thought was a really good effort. Take nothing away from Cup Night, though. Not suited by a steady tempo, back in a bit of an awkward position. He looks on track for another nice campaign. Money Matters, was good to see him perform well, and Notorious One is... if you owned him or trained him, you would just pull your head out, your hair out. He was on one rein for majority of the straight there, and still beaten a length and a half. If he ever goes straight one day, you'd think that he'd probably be able to win a really good race.
Yeah, couldn't disagree, Michael. It's a Day. He's always the talking point. $3.20, second favourite. Blinkers went on. He was slow to begin, and I think the race was all over for him.
Trial was ordinary.
Yeah, I've been vocal about my opinion on It's Day for 12 months now, and I just think the bar needs to be lowered a little bit, and maybe the blinkers come back off. I guess he's the pleasing thing about It's Day, and I guess the comforting thing about It's Day is that he's in the right camp, and I think Simon and his team will figure him out, and he'll eventually be able to show the ability that he does possess, but I just don't think he possesses the ability to be a Group 1 Winterbottom horse in 2 or 3 months' time.
So we asked Mickey G if you missed the interview earlier on today about where he goes. How high does he aim with Comes a Time?
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah.
It was a good win. I love the way he flattened out over the last 50 metres.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I get the feel that he's not sharp enough for a Winterbottom.
So break it down distance-wise. What do you think?
Carbine Club for me.
1400.
1400 set weights and penalties. I think he wins that.
That would be a great race for him.
I don't think he's obviously a mile at a railway is too far. Winterbottom weight for age. Too sharp and weight for age. If you set him for those sort of set weights plus penalties listed at the top of races.
Timing-wise, how does the Carbine work in
Same
relation
day as the railway usually?
In relation to the Gold Rush? Yeah, okay.
Usually it's the same day as the railway.
They might be 2 races
so
for him.
Gold Rush is 1400, isn't it?
Yep. So maybe you really target the Carbine.
And if you win that, you go 3 weeks.
And then have a throw at the stumps in a Gold Rush.
How far is the Gold Rush after the railway?
That's what I'm not sure about. 2 or 3 weeks, you'd suspect.
So that's... and there would probably be a nice lead-up a couple of weeks beforehand, so we could have a month off now, gear back up, or a few weeks off now and gear back up and head there for the north in the spring. But either way, I think he can play a part in.
We'll send Michael our invoice
in something after that. But
you might have to get out there and ride some work for him too. Sounds pretty busy.
Yeah, good luck. Then the horses will go backwards.
But that's about it. So this is the Black Heart Bart Stakes over 1,200 metres in a fortnight. There's the 3-year-old Classic. There's what's the next feature in line?
A week later, I think it's the Crawford over the 1,000.
There's also the Eurythmic, which is the old Northerly over 1,400. Yep, that's right. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see where Cup Night would you think would go to the Northerly.
I would imagine.
Sorry, the Eurythmic. I mean,
yeah. I interviewed Bernie yesterday. And I asked at which point do him and Pat have the discussion on where they target him, whether it be Winterbottom or Railway. And he said that it would pretty much be after yesterday's run. So we might have news in the next week as to whether Cup Night targets a Railway Stakes or a Winterbottom. But it wouldn't surprise me if he heads towards a Eurythmic over 1,400, and that's not to say that he can't come back to a Winterbottom. Bernie's big thing was that he really wants Paddy to ride him, and what Paddy has elsewhere may determine where Cup Night goes.
Yep. Okay.
Railway for me.
Let's go to the beaten jockeys after the Black Heart Bart.
Personal pleasure?
She was honest, tried her best. A little bit up against some good horses today, but I thought she ran a credible race.
Brad Rula, Money Matters?
Yeah, my bloke ran great. He had a nice run, controlled the race and give a good kick. And I felt like I thought we still could be a fighting chance the way we'd had it, but he probably just needed in the end first up run, great effort.
Pat Carberry, Cup Night?
Yeah, he ran really well. Obviously it mapped that there wasn't going to be much for tempo, and he really only just travelled in the run, but he actually... He actually ran home really well, just thanks to Holly Watson in the background.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Over on the inside, running third, Lone Hand Larry. Under pressure behind them, Indominus, Waitiri battling. Over on the outside, Secret Statue into the clear, Ginger Baker. Castillo Delago led. Doubted it'll be for long, though. Western Knight sizing him up now, grabs him and dashes past him at the 200 mark. Kicks clear. Western Knight draws away from Castillo Delago. Ginger Baker, Lone Hand Larry. Western Knight having a little look around there. Wants to stargaze, but he'll get the job done today. And Western Knight goes home to beat Castillo Delago. Ginger Baker third.
Yeah,
Cressy ran
Diffrage,
fourth.
4-year-old, Western Knight, had a Western Jewel. One of, a lot of people made it the good thing of the day and didn't let them down. Adam Durant, only winner of the day too. He's been poised to strike. We're waiting.
Got it yesterday.
Mm.
Good win. I thought it was a nice controlled ride from Clint Johnston Porter. I think this horse's weakness has been his inability to settle at times in slowly run races, but I like the fact that Clint didn't fight him. He was caught a little bit deep early, just elected to roll forward, settle outside Casillo del Lago, who he knew would provide a genuine tempo in the race, and he settled in a lovely position outside the leader, travelled into the race well, and then showed a good turn of foot late to beat Casillo del Lago late by a length. I think Western Knight is better than this grade, and I think he can continue to go through the grades at around this type of distance and be very, very competitive.
Yeah, I agree. Clint took luck out of the equation there yesterday. I was always going to appreciate the step up to a mile, but the fact he could roll forward, sit in the breeze and put them away like that, I think he's a better horse with cover. So he's a horse with upside. Castillo del Lago's come back really well this campaign. He continues to bump into one or two better and is probably bumping into some nice horses too. Ginger Baker, I thought, hit the line well, got in a little bit of an awkward position, and then just on straightening, able to get into the clear, and I thought it was a nice effort to run into third. Outside of that, back in fifth, George Gently drew barrier 14 or 12 of 12 after scratchings, went back to last, and coming out of a maiden win, I thought that was a really good effort to burst through the pack and make up really good late ground. Cressy ran fourth in front of him, but I thought George Gently is probably a horse, well, clearly eligible for easier races, that if we're looking for horses to follow out of this race, he could be one.
As soon as they crossed the line, I thought George Gently had your name written all over it. I thought maiden up to a graduation, eligible for easier. I thought that was a really good run, and Merrill's team's going quite well at the moment.
Rationale had a few supporters yesterday, one out, one back, behind a solid tempo, but
Rationale was in the last.
Oh, sorry, not Rationale. Who am I thinking of?
He's rattled.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, never mind me. Indominus. Indominus was the one that was one out, one back. Sorry, not Rationale.
The pre-game entertainment from yesterday, Michael. Now, race number 9, the westerntrilogy.com.au handicap over the 1650.
Floyd deeper out, back near the inside, Constant Dreaming, Al Safina still a long way back, and so's the Fave Advanced. Stone Motherless, thank you, as they turn at the 375. Savage One headed off by Benji's. Benji's reaches the lead, kicks clear down the outside, always, and then came Floyd, Al Safina and Advanced right out there on the outskirts, is coming quickly as well. Over on the inside, Benji's the leader, Al Safina charging though. Al Safina goes to Benji's Al Safina. Ding dong go. Not sure. Al Safina, Benji's, they have split it, locked together from last. Advanced, grabbed third.
What did you think to the naked eye here?
Oh,
Al Safina.
I did.
I thought dead heat.
Oh. Yeah, Nelly had enough of you again already. I suppose we've only got 5 minutes to go.
No, I thought Al Safina as well, to be honest.
Yeah. And even when they showed the slow-mo, I thought, it's just got up on the outside.
Yeah.
So Matt Cooling, on all those years of experience to stay out of that one, he was spot on.
I think this is a really good race, this 72 plus.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's just horses that haven't hit their mark yet and are still progressing through the grades. Benji's, that's 4 on a line now for him. He is absolutely flying now, and I think the big key for him has been his ability to settle on speed and be tough late. And then Al Safina, I was critical of her effort a couple starts ago.
So was I.
1300 seemed to get every possible chance and peak on her run, and then proved me wrong stepping up to 1400 metres and winning, albeit received a very soft run. But yesterday afternoon was in a different postcode and won over 1650. So I definitely read that one wrong, and Al Safina is going very, very well for Grant Alana Williams. And yeah, with the way she found the line yesterday, an 1800 at Ascot wouldn't be beyond her.
Benji's clearly flying, as you mentioned, 4 in a row, but this race did change complexion a lot when Buster Bash was second favourite for the race, was scratched 10 minutes before the race and looked the likely leader. Savage One looked a likely breeze horse. Benji's had drawn outside of them, looked probably destined to be 3 deep the trip. All of a sudden, it's funny how racing works. Buster Bash comes out, Savage One finds the front, Benji's finds the breeze without much trouble and ends up winning. I think they would have been very, very pleased. If there was one horse to come out of the race for their racing pattern and out of the field, it would have been Buster Bash. So the planets aligned there. Alsafino I thought was massive. They actually went quite steady this race, especially compared to Castillo del Lago in the previous over the same distance. So if they had have gone any quicker, Alsafino wins clearly. She was a really big run and advanced, had her back in running, ran all the fastest closing sectionals, was also a very big effort. Savage won, 35 days between runs. You'd think that was an end of prep sort of run.
You are listening to Racing Rewind, brought to you by Sessions, standing the 22-23 season at Oakland Park Stud. Sessions has more runners in the top 2% of earners than almost all stallions in Australia, including I Am Invincible and Zoostar, as per Blue Bloods Issue 3 2022.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
Galaxy Affair back in grade, All Show and Advanced.
For me, All Show in the 3-year-old 1,000 in a couple of weeks. Mystic Jane back to a maiden and Cup Night all through the campaign.
Races at Northern today. You got to win. I think you take a team of 3 there.
We are, and I'm doing STC with Scott Embry. We're just discussing off air. We all like Hua Havana in race number 2 from the stable.
Oh, here we go.
I have trust issues with Forest War, and I'm a part owner, so just steer clear of him, please. I just would like to get a win and get my photo taken. That's all from me.
Michael, got one for us?
Hua Havana was my best.
Really? Well, I hope you're right.
We'll all just back Hua Havana.
Thanks to Sophie Stone. She's the reigning premier there, with the Cats winning yesterday. Also to David Short coming in, Brad Hardy, all the team, all our sponsors. Leah Ernest to take you through the morning into the afternoon. Have a great day.